In the heart of Fiordland lies a trail that has been described as the finest walk in the world. The most well-known and arguably rewarding of New Zealand's great walks, the one and only Milford Track.
Part of a 2.6 million hectare UNESCO Heritage wilderness area, we venture into this rugged and untamed landscape to explore a journey so reputable that its capped numbers sell out within moments of their annual release. We get up close to the native wildlife, crystal clear streams, and summit high mountain passes used for centuries by the native Maori people searching for their precious greenstone.
We follow their footsteps and that of the early European explorers through this jaw-dropping landscape, along the way learning about its cultural, natural and geological history while taking in the sights of glacial carved valleys and New Zealand's highest waterfall on this 59-kilometre, 36.5-mile journey.
Join us as we summarize our amazing experience in one of the world's most breathtaking locations on the finest walk in the world, the Milford Track.
Alright, this is a rare sight. Got Chicky in control here, the captain. She's driving us to Te Anau on our way down to the Milford Track. Okay, so we are at Te Anau Downs. We're about to board our water taxi with Fiordland Outdoors, and we're heading across to Glade Wharf at the other end of Lake Te Anau. It's a beautiful morning right now on Lake Te Anau. Still, it's like glass.
Our journey begins with a boat ride hosted by Fiordland Outdoors on New Zealand's second largest and second longest lake, Lake Te Anau. We depart for Glade Wharf, located at the northern end of the lake, as our guide inspires us to ponder tales of Maori migration through the area and legends of the lost tribe Kati Mamoi, who disappeared into this rugged wilderness in the 1700s, never to be seen again.
Alright, so we've just arrived at Glade Wharf and we're at the start of the Milford Track. So we just spent the last hour and a half crossing Lake Te Anau. In fact, we only did half of Lake Te Anau. It's the second longest and second largest lake in New Zealand, third deepest as well, which actually means that it has the largest body of water, not just in New Zealand, but Australasia. 57 cubic kilometres of fresh water right here. It's pretty amazing. So normally what we'd do is we'd make our way to the Clinton Hut. That would be the first night, which is only an hour and a half walk, but because we're outside of season, we actually have the option to continue on to the Mintaro Hut. So we've got 22 and a half kilometres today to walk, so it's quite a long trek. Not too steep. We're only going to go up, what do we say, about 500 metres in elevation? Something like that?
Not even.
Not even. So yeah, not a huge climb today. Tomorrow's where we do all the climbing, so a bit of a forest walk for most of the day today.
Yeah.
So behind me is the Glade house. It's not really officially part of the Great Walk, the Milford Track, but there are people who will actually start off the Milford Road on the other side of these mountains up here at a place called Knobs Flat, and they'll make their way over this pass, the high pass there called Door Pass. It's an alternative to doing the boat, much more strenuous than the actual boat ride. 6 to 8 hours, they say, to climb over that pass and down here, so you can imagine they'd be pretty tuckered out by the time they get down here.
Entering the dense beech forest, we are immediately greeted by the local bird life, the darting of the tomtit and the calls of the korimako, the New Zealand bellbird.
So around me here we have some really big rimu trees, and unfortunately rimu trees were logged extensively when Europeans first settled in this area, but these things are awesome to see out here in these remote areas.
Well worth the detour was the wetland walk, not far from the Clinton Hut.
So we're in a typical wetlands area here for Fiordland National Park, and wetlands are actually among the world's most threatened ecosystems. Now, when settlers first came into these regions here, they saw them as useless bogs and marshes, and pretty much in a lot of the areas now that are quite settled, like Te Anau, for example, they drained a lot of those wetlands and marshes, which were very, very important for native species, and unfortunately they were converted into farmland. So it is very, very important that we keep these, not only for native species, but as well they can actually retain a lot of the water for the drier seasons, so the water then gets released during the drier seasons. I got some food for you. I'm just going for all the sandflies around here. This guy here,
We stopped for a snack break at the Clinton Hut, where we were accosted by a South Island robin eager to get a free meal. But our food is not bird food, so he had to settle for sandflies instead. The Piwakawaka, otherwise known as the Faintail, watched on from the sidelines.
So that was the Clinton Hut. What did you think of the Clinton Hut, honey?
Oh, it was a beautiful place for a hut and a great place to stop on the way to Mintaro. We had a nice snack there and encountered a South Island grey robin that was very cheeky, kept on trying to take the food right out of my mouth, but
They're pretty funny.
yeah, and it ate sandflies off of my pants.
Well, that's good. At least it's helping out. The sandflies here are pretty bad, but yeah, we had a few grey robins and a couple of Piwakawaka or Faintails hanging around the area. The reason why these birds are so friendly is because they actually aren't used to having any predators at all, which is why they're actually so vulnerable. So when they see us human beings, they don't actually freak out like a lot of birds would do and fly away because they don't have those fear instincts. But it's pretty cool. This is where we would have stayed, the Clinton Hut, if we were to have done the track as it is normally done during the Great Walk season up until May. But now that we're in May and outside the Great Walk season, we have the opportunity to continue on to the Mintaro Hut. So that's what we're going to do now. 6 hours to go. Woo.
A last opportunity for a free snack? Maybe this fantail preferred the trail of sandflies that became our entourage. High above, we spotted some Kakariki, the New Zealand red-crowned parakeet, grazing in the trees.
From the underscrub, the flightless Weka scrounges around for invertebrates on the forest floor.
Following the Clinton River upstream, we begin our ascent of the valley that bears the same name. Cascades could be seen trickling from high-hanging glaciers, a remnant of the once vast glacial mass that sculpted this valley up until about 15,000 years ago.
So we're here in the Clinton Valley. We've been following the Clinton River, and the Milford Track is actually part of Fiordland National Park, which is by far the largest national park in New Zealand. It's 12,607 square kilometres, which is about 5% of New Zealand's landmass. Now the area is so vast, it actually connects onto another two national parks, the Aspiring National Park and the Mount Cook Aoraki National Park, and the three parks together form a UNESCO World Heritage area of 2.5 million hectares. To the Māori it was known as Te Waipunamu, so it was the place of greenstone, and that's essentially what the Milford Track is. It's an old trail used by the Māori to search for greenstone pounamu. Now there are rumours, or at least some people believe, that Kati Mamoi, the original iwi or tribe that inhabited this area, are still lost out in this wilderness. It's such a vast and hidden landscape. For the Māori, the area was known as Ata Whenua, the Shadowlands, and that's because of these high mountainous peaks around here. Such an amazing landscape. Now I'll talk a little bit more about the glaciers later on that form this landscape.
ice and water both play their part in sculpting this landscape. With an average of about 200 days rainfall per year, Fiordland receives approximately 8 to 10 metres of water, which makes it one of the wettest places on Earth. The glacial carved U-shaped valleys play host to spectacular waterfalls during heavy rainfall, as precipitation on the high peaks get flushed into the valleys below, making the track at times an unsafe place to be. Luckily for us, the clear weather yielded no such barriers on our ascent up to the Mintaro Hut.
Under the setting sun, we pass Lake Mintaro with its resident paradise shell ducks, signifying the proximity to our shelter for the evening. Too weary to ponder the awe and spectacle the following day had in store for us.
After a well-needed rest, we were awoken at dawn by Fiordland's own alarm clock, the mischievous Kia.
Endemic only to New Zealand, the Kia is the world's only alpine parrot. With a problem-solving capacity of a 5-year-old, they certainly can get into some trouble.
That's my bag, you cheeky Kia. That's my bag. Put a hole in my bag.
It's like, yeah, I'll do it right for your face too. Camera's not stopping me.
That's my bag.
Good morning. Hello, look at you. I think you're handsome.
think you're being watched, Miranda.
I think so too. Want to get some?
So that was the new Mintaro Hut, and it was built for the last summer Great Walk season. So just late last year they actually built this. It's brand new. It's even got USB chargers and solar panels and all sorts of stuff. If you're here in the Great Walk season, we're not, so we didn't get to quite use all those sort of facilities, but pretty spectacular. Now we're woken up this morning, weren't we, Miranda?
By two cheeky Kias. They took a liking to our bags and seemed to follow us quite a bit. Very noisy and curious creatures.
So Kias. Okay, so we're heading right now up to the McKinnon Pass, which is the highest climb of the hike. So we'll be making our way up there today and should have some nice views. The weather's supposed to be fantastic.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Hope so.
Here up here. Oh, this climb feels endless. We're just making our way up and up and up. Oh. There he is. So we've reached the highest point of our journey right now. We've made it up to the McKinnon Pass, and as you can see, we've got some breathtaking views. It's a little bit like when we did the Milford Track last year. We're at about 1,000 meters, or just over 1,000 meters, which means that this morning, nice and early, we've hiked up almost 500 meters. So we're gonna hang out here for a bit, and hopefully some of this this cloud will pass. You know, kind of felt a little bit silly walking up there. We had the Kias laughing at us the whole way up. You know, they associate human beings with food, and that's why they'll hang around quite a bit. They've even been known to pull out traffic cones in the middle of the road so that people will stop in the hope of a quick and easy meal. It's kind of funny. So we're going to head up to the McKinnon shelter, and hopefully we'll wait for some of this cloud to lift up and get some of those sweeping views. The sun's coming through already. Let's do it. Okay, now we're officially at the highest point of the trip. We thought we were before, but that was actually just the memorial for Quentin McKinnon. He actually explored and found this area here in 1888, and unfortunately he died, drowned mysteriously in Lake Te Anau. They found his boat, but never him. That was in 1892. So we're now at 1,154 meters. We're about to descend just a little bit down to the McKinnon shelter. I'm going to wait out these clouds. It kind of looks like it's clearing up. The sun seems to be burning some of it off, and hopefully we'll get some really nice views shortly. Fingers crossed.
That's good.
So this is the McKinnon Pass shelter. Emergency stays only. So it's just going to be our lunch break. Though you wouldn't believe it out there, this is what we just walked across. So we're gonna wait out some of that cloud. We're hoping it'll lift sometime soon, because we really want to see those views. So after an hour and a half sitting inside the McKinnon Pass shelter, having an early lunch, finally we are starting to get some mountains clearing. It's pretty epic. Let's do it.
up until about 10 minutes ago, we had no idea that any of this existed around us.
Nope.
And now we're on top of the clouds. It's almost like a sea of clouds just behind us there. It's crazy. Going back up to the pass. Hopefully getting some views on both sides.
Cloud inversion occurs when the normal temperature distribution of air gets flipped. Rather than the warmer air below and colder air above, the temperature of air below the cloud cover is colder than that above, which makes for a beautifully spectacular phenomenon.
So we're heading back down to the McKinnon Pass shelter to collect our bags, and then we're heading down all the way to Sutherland Falls as a side trip, and then to Dumpling Hut where we will spend the night.
So apparently there's an avalanche danger. We have to go straight down the emergency track, which is really, really steep. That's the chickie's face right there. She's not too happy about this. It's very steep. Let's do it. So I believe that was just called the Anderson's Cascade, and I tell you what, it was absolutely stunning. We have that beautiful turquoise blue glacial water that comes down from the Jervois Glacier up there, just sort of cascading down through these really tight chasms and gorges. Absolutely stunning. And look, these glaciers up here are actually remnant glaciers, the ones that we have at the top of the mountains there. They go back to the last ice age.
The ambient white noise of the cascading falls put us into a meditative trance on our way through this vast and ever-changing landscape. It is an easy place to let the imagination wander and think about the first Maori who found themselves in this lost and unforgiving landscape. Guided only by these rivers and valleys, they pushed further into more remoteness and continued to return for the love of their precious greenstone known as Panamu.
A lucky spot in the forest as we came across an endangered kaka feasting in the trees. A large parrot closely related to the kea, the kaka prefers lower altitudes to its alpine cousin and is usually found below the tree line.
So that was pretty amazing. Just saw a kaka, which is also a parrot like the kea, but this one's actually slightly larger than the kea, and it's also more rare as well, which is pretty amazing. We're actually heading over to Sutherland Falls now, so we're seeing some spectacular waterfalls today, but I don't think anything is going to compete with this. This is the highest waterfall in Australasia, so we'll go down and check out Sutherland Falls.
Leaving the falls behind, we spot a native wood pigeon, the caribou, on our way to the final hut on the Milford Track.
Sun's not quite up yet. We're leaving the Dumpling Hut in hopes that we might even see a kiwi on the way. We had a guy in our room last night that said he saw 3 kiwi yesterday in the morning. So this is when you gotta go out. We've got the red headlamps on as well, so we don't scare them. So the bird life this morning has been fantastic. Haven't really done much filming because we've been in the dark, but you can just hear everything in the forest come to life. It's absolutely amazing. No kiwi, unfortunately, but we are making our way down to Sandfly Point, which is our final destination for the Milford Track, the end of the Milford Track. We're hiking through the Arthur Valley, and the Arthur Valley is just like the Clinton Valley. It's a glacial formed valley that was carved out by glacial ice during the last ice age, which finished between 10 and 20,000 years ago. So you can kind of imagine when we were up at McKinnon Pass yesterday, looking down at these valleys below, you can imagine glacial ice sheets that were almost 2 kilometers thick in some areas covering this region. And as they melted off at the end of the last ice age, they carved through these big, deep, wide valleys, some of them reaching the ocean. And that's why Milford Sound exists. We have 14 fjords in Fiordland National Park, Milford Sound being the most famous. And they were all glacial carved valleys that led to the ocean and were since back flooded by the ocean as sea levels rose after the last ice age. Pretty amazing and spectacular landscape carved from that. Alrighty, so we've just left the boat shed shelter. Actual flush toilets. I have to announce that because it is pretty amazing considering what we're actually using along the way. These traditional bush style long drops. Totally worth the wait from the Dumpling Hut. We're on our way now to Giant's Gate Falls, and then we'll make our way to Sandfly Point, so not too far to go. We're almost about halfway. Forest is stunning. It's full of these mossy tree ferns, and you can tell that the oxygen you're breathing here is some of the cleanest oxygen in the world. That's pretty much because that moss actually produces more oxygen than trees do, so these types of really mossy forests are really, really clean and rich in oxygen. Just breathing it is absolutely amazing. Alrighty, that was the magnificent Giant's Gate Falls. I can officially say that I've completed the Milford Track. No, we're actually 2/3 the way through for today, but I did actually hike out here from Sandfly Point to Giant's Gate Falls back in 2019, and then did a little bit of the Milford Track in the afternoon as well. So I can officially say I finished, but we've still got how many more kilometers to go, Miranda?
I have no idea.
She has no idea. A few. Last 300 meters.
Around 100 years ago, in an article that appeared in the London Spectator, the poet Blanche Bohan declared the Milford Track to be the finest walk in the world. And with our experience behind us, it was hard to disagree.
Oh, we made it to Sandfly Point, end of the Milford Track.
33.5 miles or 53.5 kilometers, plus an extra 5k for the Sutherland Falls track, so
58.5 kilometers. Cool.
With Fiordland Outdoors ready to pick us up via water taxi, we made our way to the world-famous Piwakawaka or Milford Sound, an amazing way to finish New Zealand's most famous Great Walk. Join us next time as we embark on a new series full of adventures around the globe.
Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed our content, please like and subscribe.
And we'd love if you could leave us a comment letting us know what you've enjoyed or what you'd like to see more of.
And help us grow our channel. Become part of the Global Travel Stories family by sharing with friends, family, or anyone you think would enjoy our content. Thanks, guys.